All right, so I'm sure a lot of us here have been cooking before, and we've all heard the saying, don't watch the pot boil because it's just going to take longer, right? So the quote I'm going to be talking about today is, the future is like the present, only longer. I really do agree with this quote for several reasons, and I'll go through several examples of why. But I believe what the person who created this quote is trying to get at is that we should be living in the present, not thinking about the future. And that's something I really do agree with. For example, we've all heard the quote, it's like, there's the past, present, and future, but live in the time now. That's why it's called like the present, you know. You want to enjoy the moment you're in now. You don't want to be thinking so far ahead that you are just blind, you have blinders on like a horse blinders, and you don't really realize that everything's around you. For example, you know, like there's times where you go and it's a Monday morning and you're like, oh, okay, cool, there's a cool party that's gonna happen this Saturday. And I know there's a lot of times where you're so excited about the party that, you know, you go to school and you kind of just start looking at videos. Or for example, like Halloween, you start looking up costumes during class. You're not really paying attention to everything that you should be paying attention to. You're just worried about, okay, what am I gonna post on Instagram? Who am I gonna go out with? What are the events gonna be like? So that's something that you can relate to. Also, if you start thinking too far in the future, you kind of get a little anxiety, right? Like for example, I'm sure we all thought or knew we had this speech that was coming up, so we thought about it and let it boil too much over the weekend. We all got pretty nervous and didn't want to do anything. So that's another example of where you should kind of just live in the present. You know, do as much as you can, prepare for it, but there's only so much you can do. Other than that, there are a couple other examples that I would agree with. Is like if you're doing cardio, which I hate doing, right? 30 seconds may seem like an hour. If you're staring at that clock while you're running on the treadmill, you're like, oh man, I still got 15 seconds to go, 15 minutes to go, an hour to go, depending on how long you go. And if you just ignore it, listen to your music, and just enjoy the present, then it's going to actually go by a lot quicker. So if I can teach you anything, that just enjoy the moment you're in and don't be too concerned with the future. Thank you.
Okay, well, I thought the attention device worked pretty well. It's nicely linked to the topic. You do have a clear point of view at the beginning of the speech. There's not really a strong preview of what the supporting materials are, but it does sound like as you're going through those points that there is a little bit of organization. And each of the points that you present, you give us enough detail to make it kind of interesting. Sometimes it feels like you are going through a little quickly. If you paced yourself more, you would probably think of a little bit more detail to add to, again, make it more interesting, but there was nothing that was problematic about what you had when it came to the content. Presentation issues, there's good energy in your voice, it flows very smoothly, so that part's solid. You're looking at everybody and your facial expressions seem like they are connected to what you're talking about, so you're doing the right sorts of things. Gestures, there are lots of indicators. You do want to be careful about keeping your hands out of your pockets in the first part of the speech. That's kind of where they ended up whenever you were uncertain. The hands went into the pockets, but you got better during the rest of the presentation. Your body movement, it's at the beginning it felt a little bit like that's where your anxiety is coming out, stepping forward, stepping back, stepping forward, stepping back. You settled down a little bit during the presentation, and although you kept the same sort of pattern, it seemed to be more connected to the next idea that you were talking about. And like we talked about using transitions, you're not exactly walking the transitions, but when you step forward, it's like, here's this new idea that I'm emphasizing for a second. And that's when you want to do that kind of thing, not just out of the nervous energy that's going on. I thought you had a very good summary at the end, and it's always best to kind of remind us the point that you were trying to make and leave us with a clear impression of why it was that we were listening to you. Thank you.